for YouTube. And it's like you said, you're like, then which one do I inject my pornography into? Okay, so that is live. Then we hit publish on Facebook, and then we hit tweet. Oh, good, I think. I've X'd out of everything, but I believe we still are going to be live on YouTube. Like, that created its own window.
I probably
Yes.
won't be on, but
Okay.
is my mic live at all?
There you go.
Is it on?
You're part of the mix now, if you so desire. We're all
I want to
good.
dance with somebody.
I actually like that song, and you're ruining things.
No,
You've
I
complicated it.
sounded really good.
Sounded dead on.
Yeah.
All right. Go do a smoky break, I guess. Oh my God. Welcome to another Papa's Football Podcast. I'm your host, John Papa Giorgio, hence the show's weird, shitty name. That will limit its audience to 5s to 10s, but it's not a weird sex/football show. It's just a football show. The Tecmo Bowl music harkens back to pretty much how I gained any understanding of football. I never got into the Maddens, really. I know I'm like a weird, considering I did sports radio for a while with the guy sitting across from me. We'll get to that in 1 second. Brian Bolte is busy smashing around his fucking microphone like a kitten with a catnip toy. What are you doing over there, pal?
I couldn't hear you guys.
Oh, okay.
My buds.
All right, he pulled out his buds. There, I'll kill the music. Can you hear us now?
I can hopefully now hear you. Let's see.
Oh my God. Pete,
I can hear you.
Can you
Awesome.
adjust that, Pete, like, please adjust the camera a little bit. I know I'm not a small man, but I fucking look like the shit emoji right now. Like, I just look like a brown pyramid. This is the least flattering fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. If you want to see how fat and gross I am, go to youtube.com/Papa's Basement. You can see the Papa's Basement show and the football show and everything there. Thank you. God, now it's just, the beard is not able to hide my chin now.
Should I like scooch over?
No, fuck.
No?
Like, I need
Okay.
to not eat fried food 5 times a day. That's the true thing that should be done here. Aaron, Jason.
John, I like you Rubenesque. You're what we call a bear.
Oh yeah. No, I would fucking crush ass in that community. Like, if I were just like a berserker, like a barbarian berserker on the battlefield, but hungry for cum instead of the blood of my foes, I would kill in the bear community. Let me introduce everyone who's on mic with me today. We have Howard Highland.
Hey,
Flood.
What's good? We're going to talk college football today, right? Is that what the show's about?
Sure, that's how I lured you in. We'll talk all that college football. Like, the Bulldogs did something, right?
I was just joking. You don't know anything about college football, man. Are you really going to fake through this?
No,
call this the Howard Highland show. If you
I was going to fuck with you long enough to make you think it, though. Clemson lost in a tight one the other night, right?
Yeah.
Look at me.
Not close.
Yay.
Not even close.
All right. They lost. Give me that. Fuck.
They got their asses kicked.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they? Because we have to act like Alabama's a fucking underdog. Nick Saban's a sociopath. I hate when teams do that stuff. I hate when Tom Brady, and even, but fucking even his airness. Even when goddamn Michael Jordan had to do that in the day and be like, remember when we were slighted in the press that one time? Fuck them. We're not going to. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you, dude. I hate Tom Brady. Like, Bill Belichick will do that shit. Every goddamn opponent has to suck their cock in the press now. You don't want to give them, bulletin board material, as they put it. It's like, fuck you. They're going to beat your ass either way. You might as well call them pretty boy cocksuckers ahead of time. You might as well be like, oh, yeah, Tom Brady is actually as smart as like a fucking blonde cum dumpster, like actress, ingenue. And he is like suckered in by a fucking snake oil shaman that Alex Guerra. That is I know we have to do the actual stories of the NFL week, but that is like, to me, the story of the NFL year. Like, it getting out that Tom Brady is like sleeping in hyperbaric chambers and fucking like takes rhino horns to get his dick hard and shit like that. Like,
is that surprising to you at all, though?
AJ, can we introduce you by full name?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
AJ Ataye. AJ's here in studio. AJ, I used to work with at 106.7 The Fan. I don't like calling it by that name. It's fucking JFK now. It's JFK forever. But sure.
Always in my heart.
Yeah, exactly. 106.7 The Fan. AJ's kind enough to come in, hopefully repeatedly. I'm looking.
I thought that the Fan is the moniker for CBS in every city, right? Or is it just several cities? Because I thought it's the Fan in Baltimore as well.
No, in Chicago, it's the Score, I believe.
Okay.
That's horrible.
In Boston, I forget off the top of my head. It's not the Sports Hub, maybe the Sports Hub. I forget. I've been out of the game.
Why don't they just call it like it is, and just every station is christened like the fat white guy with shitty arteries? Like that is what their listening base is. I take that back. They would cut for white and black fat guys with shitty arteries. We managed to go very biracial at that station. That was the one thing I noticed.
Diverse.
Yeah, it wasn't all the all white caller base of Don and Mike. We truly had Kel from Suitland. And
I was gonna say, I feel like we had a lot of like skinny, diverse, a lot of me. You had a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
that was like in house, absolutely.
But even in the Fans, I mean, I was a shitty radio listener before I was worked in radio. Like that was never. I was one of those guys, so I don't know. I feel like I can relate a little bit, but for the most part, you're right.
No, it's sure. He's snapping away. We got Pete taking pictures. It's pretty cool. Pete is in studio if he wants to hop on mic.
What's up, guys?
He's free too. Yeah, so that really cheers me. And I know I'm not shocked. I'm not one of those idiots who thinks Tom Brady can throw a ball real pretty like, and so that makes him fucking like Winston Churchill combined with Alfred Einstein, as Norm Macdonald calls him. But god damn, it's just delightful to know he's a moron. Just like he fucking like in all earnestness like has destroyed his team's locker room, at least to some extent, by like pulling them aside. It's like, look, man, that was great. You repped 225 bench press like 48 times today. You want to get that shit above 60, like here you go. And it's like, some fucking legit like boa liver liniment. It's like rub this on the back of your kneecaps.
But if you're like some 22-year-old like
eating it with a spoon,
rookie or anybody, you're literally anybody, and
spoon.
Tom Brady comes up to you with that shit, you're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Eating it with a spoon. Yeah, you're hoping like maybe there's a chance it works, but really you want to suck up to the guy. And you're hoping this is like the bottom level of like some weird fucking pyramid where he's like, I really draw my power from Giselle's pussy. Please bathe in its nourishing water. And you're like, all right, cool. I'll bust in that. Like, I don't fucking 2 kids later. She's 40. Who gives a shit? It's still, you're banging a Victoria's Secret angel.
Yeah, who's making like what, 40 million a year or something crazy like that?
She's the fucking breadwinner. Like he pays the cable bill in that house. Like it's fucking insanity. You ever watch King of the Hill?
Yeah.
You got Nancy Hicks Gribble. He's the Dale Gribble in terms of the earning power. He doesn't do shit. He can live in the fucking basement.
Doing his conspiracy theories.
And drive around in his fucking Bugabega.
Dressed like Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, for all it fucking matters what Tom Brady contributes. That's why Tom Brady doesn't really have max contracts. And it's grossly unfair. Like if he weren't married to Giselle, it wouldn't fucking like he would.
Even
have
with
to,
the Patriots, you think? I don't know. Are we gonna do this debate? Like I feel like the Patriots do that to every guy. No one ever gets max money. Everyone like
the Patriot way.
You
or whatever.
settle into the Patriot way. Well, I don't know what the hell that is.
I can't.
But,
all I can say is
like Richard Seymour. Like if you are a guy who wants to make some money, get the hell out and go do it somewhere else.
You got the Ravens win a Super Bowl, and then Joe Flacco is suddenly designated an elite quarterback because he happened to be on a team with a good defense. That team is ruined by his contract, and they will be.
I don't want to go to NFL like nerd boy here, but I always like take exception is like the right word. Like when it comes to shit like that, when your time is up and it's your time to get paid, you're Flacco. Just because you get paid the top amount in the NFL doesn't mean that you're an elite quarterback. Like Kirk Cousins this offseason, if the Redskins decide, you know what, we're not going to franchise this guy, we're going to let him walk.
Well, definitely not franchising. I think it's like franchise tag like 98 million.
No, it's like 34 million. It's only like
obscene.
It's like 5-6 million more than what you just paid him.
That's true.
You think about that, like the number on paper, like, oh, okay, that's crazy. You can't pay a guy 34 million. You just paid him 28. Is that big of a difference for you to go from being maybe a competitive team to being a shithole team who's going to be out of the playoffs midway through the season?
That contract dooms you not to make the playoffs.
Does it though? But if you don't pay him that, aren't you doomed to then not make the playoffs and then good luck drafting the next guy? Go ahead and try for the next 6 to
that's what everyone
20 years.
That's what's so frustrating. People who want to get real, like you said, sports nerdy about it. They're like, well, that's why you draft a new quarterback who's only making like $5 million. Well, fuck you. If it were that easy, we'd all do it.
In the last 27 years, how well have the Redskins done at drafting a quarterback?
They've done shit, dude.
And the only guy they've fucking done that right with is Kirk Cousins.
Well,
I don't know.
Gus Farad actually was
Fuck Kirk Cousins.
Gus Farad was a 7th-round pick. They didn't do bad with him.
No, you're right. But relatively speaking, the best one out of the lot in 25 years in a quarter century has been this guy.
And Farad,
so, I don't know.
Let's be honest, is most known for like headbutting a wall and getting concussed. And kind of, I don't want to say like being a Vinny Testaverde because it's kind of a slight to Testaverde, but didn't like Farad, he went from here to Minnesota for a while, but then ended up kind of bouncing around the league. Or am I wrong here? Was he really just here in Minnesota?
I'm looking it up right now. I mean, I remember him in Minnesota. I remember him.
He was a backup in a bunch of places.
Yeah, that was okay.
Yeah,
but it's one of those deals where it's like, cool, you drafted someone who had a career in the league, but I don't give a shit about someone's career in the goddamn league. I want him to have the career for my team.
Yeah, he had a bunch of 1-year contracts throughout the rest of his career.
Straight up, name the quarterbacks who won Super Bowls for the Redskins.
All right, we had Mark Rippon.
I'm just saying,
Doug Williams and Joe
Theismann.
Yeah.
It wasn't Joe Theismann. It was Jay Schrader, wasn't it?
No, it was Joe Theismann. Joe Theismann won the one in '83 with him and Riggins.
Theismann, I believe, has one ring.
Does he? All right. I thought it was Schrader.
No,
I thought he was hurt.
Theismann, that was his MVP year too.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I voted Theismann for Heisman.
I'm just saying,
college football for you. Yeah, exactly.
Theismann. Yeah.
Rippon and Doug Williams are not big names out there. You can win without a huge name at quarterback.
Yeah, in fucking 1987.
Yeah, not anymore.
Like, it's a quarterback league, man.
You have Tom Brady winning the Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's like
Russell Wilson won one on a rookie contract,
and he's amazing though.
And
that's
awesome.
the thing.
And he's a perennial Pro Bowler, All Pro quarterback.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say it, like, and I get what you're saying, Howard. It needs to be that perfect mix of like, we have this guy, like. That's why the Cowboys are dangerous as shit right now if Dak Prescott doesn't fucking suck.
Yeah.
Because
he makes no money.
He is literally being
eventually
paid in cotton and chitlins.
If he's that guy that you
slave contract.
if he's that guy that you think he is, he's gonna get $100 million contract.
And
that's how it works. You draft a guy in the 4th round, hoping that he could become that guy. And if he is, you got to give him that money. Like, that's how it works. You can't
because he's
drafting
4th round. It's not even that many fucking years you get off scot-free. I think it's 3rd year they can start demanding, or even 4th year.
And you can get 4 years on the rookie rate.
Yeah, and that's
on a 1st rounder. I thought
everybody, but then there's a 5th year option on a 1st round pick.
I thought if they were like 3rd and below, they could start bitching to opt out.
By the end of that 3rd year, if that guy's any good, you're already trying to extend him. So
because that's what happened with Russell Wilson, I think. Because I remember this
now
debate.
Russell Wilson makes like $25 million a year and is one of the highest paid quarterbacks because he got paid.
Yeah,
he's paid slightly less than others because it's kind of the Patriot way, going back to you don't want to be the top paid quarterback in the league.
Oh, I thought the Patriot way was also the Boston way. Don't pay the Dockies.
That's the Celtics.
Yeah. I've been crushing Cheers episodes. Like, they fucking,
oh my god,
all they have is Kevin McHale in. That's it. Like, I guess Larry Bird was too big for him and they don't want black people. Like, fucking Cheers was the perfect Boston show. Like, fucking, you have people who cry that like, oh, things are too diverse now, which is always a weird thing to hear. Because it's like, well, what do you crave in your heart? Like, once you say those things, like, where do you want things to turn? But like, fuck me if Cheers wasn't the whitest white show of all. God, holy shit, man.
Frasier?
Even Frasier's white as shit.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously they're an extension or the spinoff.
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't know if Frasier would contend there, right?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, Cheers legit would have one speaking role, and I'm talking like a delivery man for a black actor, like once a year, and be like, okay, we filled the quota. Back to the
following
hijinks of Rhea
generation was what Friends was the same way.
Friends tried a
show based in New York, and you saw like one black guy in like 12
no Puerto
years.
Rican stick up men.
No.
Ross dated an Asian chick. I remember that. I'm like, oh,
Julie,
he's got yellow fever.
Oh god, she was so gross compared to what's her tits. And I Asian chicks are fine in my book. You know what I mean? Like, I truly, it's like, if you're petite and you're sexy, but like, Julie was maybe one of the least attractive Asian women.
But she was on the same level appearance-wise as David Schwimmer.
Yeah, that one made way more sense than fucking him getting Jennifer Aniston and her like fucking legit should have done her like handprints on the Hollywood Walk of Fame with her fucking nipples. Like, I'm not the biggest Jennifer Aniston fan, but those nipples. Mwah. That's
Jennifer Aniston was definitely one of the goats of my childhood.
Just pure spectacular. All right, so let's get to Andy Dalton and the actual football talk. That's a segue. I'm
good job.
I'm not saying I'm great at anything in radio, but fuck, segues are my weakest game. I'm just painful at them. So I'll just celebrate it now. Be like, cool. All right, let's get back to the Trail of Tears. Talking reconstruction here. No, that was the highlight, right? That is in terms of stuff that happened this week, unless it's one of your teams getting into the playoffs, the highlight. And I was having this talk with AJ earlier because I watched on an illegal red zone feed. Thank you, Reddit NFL streams.
Reddit's so great.
Oh, fucking gone wild is my porn crack. I literally. Okay, we'll get into that another day. We'll always get into that. I don't give fucking Reddit gone wild is like my pornographic North Star. Like all paths lead to that shit. It's Rome. So I'm watching Red Zone. They pare down to this one game because this is it. Fucking for all the marbles, the Ravens win and they're in. I did not watch a ton of that game. I was red zoning all day, but I believe the Ravens were down by like 17-3 at one point.
They had to stage a major comeback to be even in a position to win in the last minute.
Yes, but we're on top.
Yeah, and Ravens were up like 3 or 4 points.
4.
They were up 4
points.
They could not settle for the Bengals. Could not settle for some like fucking Hail Mary, like 99-yard field goal type shit.
No.
So on 4th and 12, Andy Dalton goes for it and not only converts, the guy breaks a couple tackles and is in the fucking end zone.
Tyler Boyd, man.
Tyler Boyd. And that was the moment, I think, Howard, you echoed a similar sentiment where I realized I'm really not the biggest Ravens fan. Because, like, a DC guy, I think Baltimore people kind of hate DC teams. But DC people are readily will take any sports success Baltimore has and, like, co-opt
Not everyone, but
I disagree with that.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, speak for yourself, John.
Oh, no. When the Ravens won that fucking Super Bowl, I was like,
them.
yeah. Like, oh, no. I was fine with that.
Yes, screw the Ravens.
I was rooting against them the whole time that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you are a vengeful man.
Nah, because Brian and I go back and forth on this. Where I don't love the Ravens, but I love Baltimore, and I want to see people in Baltimore happy.
I love Baltimore.
Because I lived there for a couple of years, so for me, to me, it's night and day. Anybody who doesn't live in DC area listening to this, you got, my opinion, this like middle of nowhere stadium for Redskins Park that nobody wants to go to. It's not.
How dare you
public
fucking call
transportation
Lanham,
accessible.
Maryland, the middle of nowhere?
But
It's only the city of lights. Continue, you fucking ignorant bitch.
What? There's a bus from the metro station. Actually, my neighbor's fiance died on one of those buses once, like early on the process of. Yeah, it's
Really?
ridiculous. It's a horrible experience going to the stadium.
Was this robbery related or health related?
He was drunk, and then he broke his neck on the roof. When,
What the? Oh my god!
wow.
Hey, Howard.
Yeah.
Howard. Good. I'm glad he died.
Because he's a Redskins fan. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
no.
so
The only thing I know about
Wait, what the
Baltimore
fuck did
is
he
Wire.
broke
That's what
his?
Baltimore is to me.
What happened?
I guess they hit a puddle or something.
What
And then he got
happened?
thrown because he was standing in the upper. It was like one of those double-decker buses. And he was on the top one, and they're telling people
Like one of
don't
those
stand in the
British
upper deck.
buses?
They have them to get people to the games because it's such a pain in the ass to go from the metro to the stadium. They have to load people up like sardines on these double-decker buses. And if you're on the top of it, you can die. You can literally die if you're standing.
I don't know if he's the same guy. I used to be friends with this gorgeous Persian chick, and she told me about a friend's, like, did you say fiance?
Yeah.
I wonder if this is the same fucking thing.
It probably is.
And he got his head cleaved off, and I had like the same reaction, and like that pussy closed.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
I
what's wrong
remember
with
this
that-
story.
that
man.
fucking ship.
You've been laughing at things like that I've
Oh.
said since what, like 1992, since we've known each
Yeah.
other.
Oh, I've got a sense of-
I know you're like that. You're not really trying to get me to put out though at this point. What is
No.
wrong with you? Why would you mess? You could have sealed the deal if you could just shut your yap and be like, oh, that's sad.
I mean, dude,
Someone died.
If I could have just shut my yap, I would have like a Dirk Diggler head count. Like I would be working on rounding 1,000 at this day and age. If I could shut my yap, both fucking not to eat food and to stop cock blocking myself, yeah, it would just be. This would be the pussy nexus right here. This would be the Milky Way of pussy right in this lap.
I'm just saying there's no bars outside of Redskins Park where you get out of the game. Hey, Redskins just won. Whenever that does happen, let's go hang out in this amazing area surrounding the stadium. No, that doesn't happen. So I consider most DC fans to be jealous of the Inner Harbor where you get out of a Redskins or a Ravens game or an Orioles game and it's just boom.
It's fucking amazing.
Inner Harbor.
Yeah.
Let's party.
Like there's legit like a trail of piss from.
But then you'll have to hang out in Baltimore though. So that's
like Baltimore
though.
But the Inner Harbor is the shit. No matter what else you can say about that city.
I guess
everybody loves the Inner Harbor.
I went to the Inner Harbor. I got my car broken into. So
that'll leave a bad taste.
You gotta know where to park. That's the thing that sucks the most.
I legit like. I'm not saying this as a joke. Safely. I do view this as a binary. Like people who don't like Baltimore have been robbed there. Like, it's same with Richmond.
But you're literally 2 blocks away from a part where
and I lived in Richmond for like frequently. 5 years. So like, I love Richmond, but I acknowledge that.
Were you ever mugged?
No, but I know like a million people that were.
Me
like,
too.
Everyone.
But until it happens to you, I think it doesn't bug you as much.
Yeah, that's probably true with most things.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're comparing stadiums, it's stadiums and stadium experiences. I think FedEx Field might be the worst stadium experience in the NFL.
I adore the Redskins. They're maybe the only sports team I truly give a shit about, and I have been to that stadium once and never care to fucking go back.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple years ago, I just completely like called off. I stopped going to home games, and now
it's
like
the worst fucking experience I've ever had.
Now, I mean, in the last few years, like my work has kind of surrounded the NFL, so usually like I met some like broadcast or some stupid studio somewhere and doing something on. Are you
spit roasting with Larry Michael? Just gonna put that out there.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Old Larry. No, not so. If you're comparing stadium experiences, it's not even close. But if you're comparing fan bases, I don't know. I just feel like the venom is there for Baltimore towards DC, and I feel like Baltimore.
Oh, they fucking hate us.
And I feel like Baltimore kind of has that relationship with Philly and with New York too. Like they play big or little brother to a couple of different cities.
To every city,
right? Like, am I wrong there? I don't know.
No, they're the tiny little shitbox, and I love them, but they're way tinier than any other out of like what I would call the major 95 corridor cities.
Yeah,
like Philly, New York, and I guess.
So when they were
Philly's kind of neurotic too. Let's not pretend that.
Well, they've got the inferiority complex compared to New York, but Philly's like the 4th biggest city in the country, I think, or the 5th. I think it's.
But they still struggle even compared to, I mean, DC sports have not been doing great lately, but I think Philly also hasn't had much of a track record of success in recent years. So.
Yeah. Let's dedicate another 46 minutes to the census hour we've got going right now. So we had the Andy Dalton, and like Howard and I said, we were both kind of just laughing and like, you know what, fuck Baltimore for this one. I was torn because I like the Bills as an underdog story. I think any team that stuck their dick in the Bills for those 4 Super Bowl losses at this point, you got to slightly root for them. But like everyone I know who likes the Bills is also human shit. I say that with love in the case of Josh Pierce. In the case of other people, I truly view them as crap. But Bolty, you would agree, right?
Yeah, I'm one of those fans I had to block from my phone recently. So yeah, they're pretty crazy guys.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm thinking of that fan too. His name, I don't know, let's just give him an alias like Amir.
No, yeah. It wasn't him. It was the other one.
What? You had to. Oh God. Well, I'm sorry, Amir. You might be a convicted serial rapist, but you did not harass Brian Bolty on the phone. That belonged to Josh Pierce. No,
yes, it was.
Josh.
He thought it was funny to text me at like 3 and 4 a.m. He thought it was funny.
Yeah,
and he's a Bills fan, and Bills fans must be assholes.
Well, all the Bills people, the Bills Mafia, as I'll dub them this very instant, never heard that before. The Bills Mafia likes to congregate at Jimmy's Old Town Tavern in Herndon.
Yes, they do.
AJ, do you know about Jimmy's, right or no?
Yeah, I've passed by there before.
Okay, yeah, and it's
been there.
Owned by the titular Jimmy, who is from Buffalo and serves all the Labatt Blue. and poutine and all that shit.
We talk about like sports like depression for the Redskins and how bad they've been for the last 25 years since they're like little dynasty or whatever they had.
They at least won.
But you know, every 4 or 5 years, like every couple of years, they throw up on themselves and have like a playoff run, or they, you know, have like a division like championship every now and then. If you're the Bills, you just went 17 years without making.
You've done nothing. Yeah.
Like think about that. 17 straight years.
Well, it's like it's very schizophrenic because
that kid can smoke a cigarette now. Last time that they didn't had a playoff year, like someone was born the next day, they could have already smoked a cigarette and maybe like almost registered to vote.
But wasn't that the miracle in Music City? Isn't that the last time the Bills were in the playoffs? Was they lost on the lateral to end the game against the Titans?
Kevin Dyson, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
their last playoff memory.
Yeah,
is losing that game.
That was 99.
One of like the most improbable finishes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just think about that, and we like talk about how bad it is for DC sports because we live here. You look at what they've had to deal with, what the Browns have had to deal with. There's not a lot of teams underneath that threshold, but man, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, but I feel like, well, first of all, I just want to say you walk into Jimmy's and you want to like the Bills, and then you see the people who are into the Bills, and you're like, just nuke that fucking shithole from orbit. All right, just blot it from the earth. Now, as for the Browns, I feel there's like a certain threshold of complete failure where it's almost not as sad when you fail. Like, take me, for example. Like, 10 years ago, I weighed a lot less. I fucking had a normal life. Like, I crushed a lot of ass. But, like, since then, I've gained weight. I do nothing now. And I don't get any. Like, isn't that almost sadder than the guy who's, like, 500 pounds and just has, like, never even touched a pussy?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying. Like, if you have no hope, then then your disappointment is
like I'm in
bad.
this perpetual like end of Act 2 type thing right now, where it's like I either this becomes like the redemption story, or I just kill myself, do some autoerotic shit, you know, like die in some weird way.
What's his name? David Carradine style.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, oh, like the bad part that was actually Act 3 this whole time, and now it's just dead. All right, cool. Credits are rolling on his corpse. Yeah. So since Andy Dalton, Buffalo Bills hero, got it done for the team in the way that their actual quarterbacking couldn't. And didn't you want to see them punished for like just a little bit for benching Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah.
And that who is it? Fucking Nate Sudfeld? Was
Nathan Peterman?
Nathan Peterman. All right, came in and threw 5 picks in I think 14 minutes or something ridiculous. Like just comical.
Literally just
like you and I could literally throw that many picks in that amount of time. Like if I could just be like, here, you know, like don't tackle me.
I mean, imagine being that coach going back into the locker room, like, all right, guys, sorry. I know that we were in position to make the playoffs and, you know, our season was going really well. And this is the first time we've had a winning record through this far in the year since forever. But you know what? I'm going to bench the quarterback. Walk card. Here we go.
I mean, it's fucking great. It's like any scorned girlfriend ever. Like any chick who's like an 8 who dated a 5, and the 5's like, I think I can do better. Like this.
Good for Tyrod to come back in there. He like didn't bitch or complain. I mean, he's getting paid millions of dollars. So
if I'm Tyrod, I'm legit like asking to fuck like all of the owners, women in that bloodline. Just like, still, this is what's happening.
I'm going to take the coach's side on this because I look at Tyrod Taylor and I'm just like, he's not going to win a Super Bowl. We're going to do picks later in the show, but
neither is
anybody
Nathan Peterman.
First of all, I don't like where he put the emphasis on that man's name.
Tyrod.
Yeah, that was fucking. I should have bleeped that. But continue.
Hey Howard, hold on a second. You guys are just kissing Cousins' ass. Tyrod Taylor is ranked as a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins.
In terms of what?
I'm sorry, I only recognize Tyrod now.
I'll put it this way. I think if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I would pay either of those guys $35 million a year to be my quarterback next year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would pay Cousins that just because he's kind of more prototypical.
Yeah.
Wait. I don't know. Tyrod, like I haven't. God, now you got me doing it. Tyrod Taylor, I haven't really followed a ton, but
he's one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
He's not great. Yeah,
he's not good.
He kind of falls into that whole like.
But he's worked for you so far. So even if he's only throwing for 196 yards every game and he's only throwing like, you know, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, it seems to be working for your team.
He's got that some mobility thing going. Like, you know, it's like a less extreme version of watching Tebow win. You're like, I know the fucking wheels are going to come off this, but I guess we can't fuck with it. Like, I guess we
You can't.
Fuck.
And you're at that point, like, you have a winning record. You're in position to make the playoffs. Why now? Like, why don't you wait a couple weeks, let your season go to
let
shit?
The season die, and then
let it die a horrible death, and then put that the terrible, like, and it wasn't even like Peterman was like a first or second round draft pick. Like, you reached to put in like your 4th round rookie over like the established veteran
as a fucking starter.
Again, I don't know how you go back in that locker room after the fact and like look at those guys like in the face as a McDermott, whatever his name is.
I would literally demand being carried around by like 4 people on like holding me on a litter. You know what I mean?
You guys remember how Tyrod got to Buffalo, right?
The Ravens, right?
Ravens, yeah.
I think they traded him for a 6th round pick or something. I can't remember what it was. Ravens gave him up for nothing.
Yeah, he was a fucking just backup.
You were saying this before. I remember when Tyrod went to Buffalo and he played really well. I remember hearing like a good chunk of Ravens fans being like, "Man, we shouldn't have paid Flacco. We should have let him walk. Re-signed Tyrod. Kept the money to keep all our guys on defense that they had to let go."
All those people are right today.
Yeah, I mean, Flacco losing record right since their
it's just
Super Bowl.
It's the cycle. You're fucked. I don't know how else to explain it. If you have a successful quarterback, that's just the life cycle of the team, dude.
Yeah,
it's the same way. Like, they pay Russell Wilson and a couple of guys who aren't the Legion of Boom. Fuck, I hate myself for even saying that's the gayest thing on earth. But the Legion of Boom, like, you still had defensive dudes below that you had to let walk to pay Russell Wilson. And it's like, without Russell Wilson, they have nothing. But now they kind of can't really get there either because those fucking like defenders, you know, like 6 through 10.
And now they have to like blow their team up. They're going to have to like cut Earl Thomas or cut Cam Chancellor or Richard Sherman. Like, you got to pretty much like scrap the whole thing.
They're getting there. Yeah, it's a real debate this offseason in Seattle, blow it up or not, because all their contracts have kind of ballooned at this point.
There's a whole problem with the NFL product right now. Like, you have so much hinging on a quarterback like Andrew Luck. That team was horrible this year because one player gets, what, almost 25% of the salary cap? I can't remember how much he gets paid exactly.
He just got extended, too.
He's got one of the biggest contracts in the NFL right now. Might be the biggest.
What is he making a year? Like,
your guy Joe Flacco actually has like the biggest cap hit for any quarterback in the NFL
the weird
this year.
Just the structuring of the contract.
Yeah, I think overall money, I think it's I think Andrew Luck is number 1.
And what is he at? Like 35 or some shit? Or
no, and Andrew Luck's not number 1 anymore. Stafford beat him. Everybody's been signed since him has had a higher contract than Luck.
Yes.
Luck was $140 million for 6 years.
We're talking about all these quarterbacks getting paid tons of money not to be in the playoffs.
It's I don't know how else to put it. It's, you have to get this weird alchemy of like too many people where you hit in the draft, and then it's this bittersweet thing where you're going to have to pay them all eventually. It's really, Seattle was the last success story that I look at, which fits the mold I'm talking about. Where just like everyone's paying for fucking peanuts. Like everyone's 3rd round pick, 6th round pick.
They hit on that draft class in 2012. And you had like 5 or 6 guys from that like class become Pro Bowl, like all pro players, like Wagner, like Sherman, I think was a year before, but Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he wasn't in that draft.
Yeah, like Bruce Irvin, who was like pretty good for them. I think they had one more guy come out of that draft. Like, and all those guys were great, and it just happened to work out. Because 2 years before that, I think they were a terrible team. I think they made the playoffs with like a 7-9 record. So.
But then fucking upended New Orleans, who came into the house.
The whole
goddamn hilarious. The fucking beast mode run.
This is why everybody hates New England, because they just constantly understand how the draft works, and they constantly let guys go if they're going to be too expensive.
Even if you're like a Hall of Fame player, they will let you go.
Yeah. But they're never, let's be honest, they're rarely letting guys go at like 25 or 26 or some shit.
Richard Seymour, man. Richard Seymour was like a top draft pick. That guy was,
he's one of the few.
Trajectory to be like a Hall of Fame player, and they let him walk.
I would say it's more you got guys like Will Fork, who are like, you know, am I going to give this guy a fucking great contract at like 30-ish?
Like, he's burnt out at that point, yeah.
And they all get to go and have these like great 2-3 years elsewhere, and then that last year the fucking wheels fall off, and you're like, oh, they were.
But they'll like get rid of that guy like 2 years ahead of time,
of course, because they don't want to give him that final chunk of money.
But ultimately, let's tie a bow, but come full circle here. None of that would be possible for the Patriots if Giselle wasn't making $40 million.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, just fucking just get your quarterback to fuck like hot, successful girls. Like, nothing against Julie Cousins, but she doesn't make
Yeah,
money.
but $15 million less for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because that's what he should be getting paid. He should be getting paid $30 million a year because he's competing for MVPs every single season. That's what the market value for a guy like that would be. And he's taking like less than half of that because his wife is stinking.
No, exactly. Like, let's say he's just banging. I was trying to list like a B-level black
Olivia
porn
Munn,
star.
like even like Aaron Rodgers' ex-girlfriend, Olivia Munn. She's not making cash like that.
No.
And
Aaron Sorkin doesn't pay that.
Yeah.
Fucking Psylocke doesn't pay that. Fucking yeah. Olivia Munn is one of those weird, like almost famous for being famous people. Like you see her in some shit once a year. You're like, oh yeah, she does that shit.
She was on Spike once.
Yeah, exactly. She does things. Okay, cool. I'll never get the fuss over her. I'd go there in a heartbeat, but just kind of all right, sure, whatever. No, I take that back. When those a pre-fappening leak came out, no, it was the initial wave of the fappening, and the pictures she captioned to send to a boyfriend.
Yeah, those were
the filth that came out of her words. I take it all back.
Raunchy.
That is a woman that likes dick.
Yeah,
that is God. That is someone you marry. So we have the weird bromance now, the budding bromance between Buffalo and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is getting sent wings by the Buffalo Bills and a lot of Buffalo citizens. I thought the city was a rusted out shithole of industrial detritus, but no, apparently they have money to throw at the Andy Dalton Foundation.
It was like over $100,000 a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, they're pouring the money into that dude's foundation. It's just really
you might as well sign him at this point, right? I mean, Cincinnati can't
really. Yeah, well, I mean,
just actually pick him up.
If Buffalo really wanted to show that they love Cincinnati, they would send people to murder Marvin Lewis in the night. But they're not really that into him because Marvin Lewis got re-upped.
He went from like
can you believe that
almost retiring to a 2-year extension.
Well, it's just being foregone. But in these last 2 weeks, he gets the team going. He upends 2 playoff contenders, plays the dream smasher.
Like let's kind of be honest about that though, because playoff contenders, but 2 not good teams. Like the Ravens, it was kind of widely accepted that the AFC playoffs were like the bottom of the playoff picture for them. Just 2 shit teams were going to make the playoffs.
The AFC's fucking
the Ravens
were
one of like the worst teams in the NFL for the first like 8 to 9 weeks. Sounds like I really have a axe to grind with Baltimore, by the way. But
a girl there gave you the clap. I mean, it happens to all of us.
Or my car got broken into one time.
I'll be real though, that AFC sucks so bad. I think that the Ravens are the only team that could have beaten the Steelers and or the Patriots. I think everybody else who made the playoffs from the AFC sucks. It's not even.
I'm sorry.
Could not.
I'm sorry.
No, the Ravens could never have beat. Not in my opinion.
The Ravens just lost by a point to Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago.
But that's because anytime they play Pittsburgh, like it's one of those like rivalries. Like anytime those two play each other, it's always like that.
And John Harbaugh always owns Bill Belichick in the playoffs. He doesn't always win, but there have been some blowout playoff games where John Harbaugh just crushes Bill Belichick.
Harbaugh's a good coach, man. Honestly, like I don't put whatever's happened with them over the last couple of years like on him at all.
Yeah, if only there
Flacco
were like some
sucks. Like,
big
it's not his
contract
fault.
we could point to. That would make this all make sense.
Flacco sucks. Their offense like doesn't draft offensive players anymore, except for Bashad Perryman, and their defense has been great in the last couple of years. Special teams, great. They're good at everything except for scoring the football.
I heard it said that one of the great things about Baltimore is, I've noticed this, a lot of teams will get an offensive coordinator and come in and be like, good, we can kind of do our offense on the cheap. We have this offensive guru, and like the defense gets fucking good somehow, and vice versa. The Ravens get a special team guy in Harbaugh, and like the special teams are always like top 3 in the fucking league. Like they're always flawless on special teams.
Yeah, and they seem to always be like, I hate it because as a Redskins fan, you're always the one on the shit end of special teams. Special teams in my life has never been great. I don't think the Redskins in my lifetime, I think they've blocked 1 field goal, blocked 1 punt, had like 2 punt return touchdowns in my lifetime. And I feel like the Ravens do it once a week.
Yeah.
The Ravens do it like once every single week. And a lot of times it seems like luck, but why does it always happen to them? You got to figure that Harbaugh is instrumental in that somehow.
No, if you're a Redskins fan, like to me, anytime special teams are involved, it's like pulling out my dick in front of a girl. You're like, just please work. Please
just don't throw up on yourself and give up a touchdown somehow.
Don't fucking embarrass me like you always do, you piece of shit. Yeah. So back to the chicken wings and Andy Dalton.
Think about that. Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, in one pass got Marvin Lewis a 2-year contract.
He really
because he really did that one pass.
What you bring up. I wanted to get into that. Just the complete bullshit when you get down to it that allows some coaches to keep their jobs and other coaches to get fired. Fucking Brian hit it out of the park with that statement. Literally one fucking pass keeps Marvin Lewis in a job. That one fucking why?
They seem to have
illogical. Why?
There's like a Munchausen syndrome or something going on with them where they're just like
seriously
they're afraid to let him go.
His presence, because he's their GM too, I believe, right? Am I wrong here? He does their personnel. He's like a sick personnel guy.
I mean, at that point, you know what? And the thing about their team is they have a shit ton of talent, man.
Their team is stocked as fuck,
we do for
man.
AJ Green here? You know what they would do for like their defensive line? Their defensive line, Atkins, Dunlap, all those guys are monsters.
Yeah.
Good guys, good players in the secondary too. Fitzpatrick is good. Like Vontaze Burfict is a shitty human being, but he's fucking beast.
I think that's what always really blows my mind.
They're talented, man.
They are able to take the discipline cases that actually deliver on the field.
Yeah.
Like
Pac-Man Jones is still like a productive player for them.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to try to fight everybody, but like that guy will play well for you and cover the opposing receiver.
Yeah, and like the strippers Pac-Man Jones beat, like their daughters are now stripping. That's how long he's been in the league.
I can't believe he's still playing. And like he's good. Like he returns punts and he like again, he's like I don't think he's a starter for them as a corner anymore, but like still a productive player. They have talent. I don't get it. I don't get it for them.
I think that's why they keep him, at least to some extent. And because you forget what an utter shithole Cincinnati was before he came along. It was just devoid. So is it worth it to kind of, I mean, let's be honest, man, they have more success than goddamn Washington does.
I mean, went to the playoffs, what, like 5-6 years in a row or something?
It was laughable because they never win a playoff game.
Yeah, but
but would you rather not, make the playoffs and not win a game,
yes,
or be a shit team and win like 3 or 4 games every year? Like that's the trade-off.
No, I absolutely, Howard, to your point, it was a joke that they were getting eliminated first round, but it was also just accepted that they would be there.
Right.
Like and especially that fucking 1 year when the Red Rocket broke his arm, like just jerking off too hard.
You remember that? You remember that dummy? I remember watching that game. That idiot threw an interception and then tried to go tackle the guy that picked it off. It was like a linebacker and immediately broke his hand.
Yeah.
Like what they tell, like I'm sure they tell quarterbacks, like, hey, stupid, don't go try to make that tackle. We don't need you to go
kick
do
him in the nuts or something.
Let one of these other idiots go make that tackle.
Yeah.
Like don't lunge at this guy and then break your hand. And AJ McCarron.
I hate when the
chest
little
tattoo goes
bird bone motherfuckers think that they can actually play. Like seeing a kicker try to tackle someone. Like, get your Slovakian ass back to the sideline, piece of shit.
You remember when that was a thing when like all kickers were foreign for some reason?
Oh, it was great.
That's not a thing anymore. I feel
not
like,
so much. It's actually for whatever reason.
That was solid like mid-90s NFL football.
Yeah, and maybe the shoe off thing as well.
Because soccer is popular in the States now. John, before Marvin Lewis won those last 2 games, there were a bunch of articles coming out about him possibly stepping down as coach and becoming the GM. Because they do have a GM. It's Duke Tobin's their GM.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the stories literally before those 2 games that they actually came back and won.
Well, it's just such a foregone fucking conclusion that he was going to be gone. Like it was it's like when you're about to end things with a girl and you're almost like talking with her, like you've already broken up. It's like, well,
the reason you had kept him around was because
his personnel skill.
Yeah, or because he was able to at least keep you competitive, and now you weren't competitive this year.
Yeah, this is the 2nd year in a row I think they haven't even made the playoffs. So at that point, I think you can dump them hard. Because their last playoff appearance, I missed because I had to go on a double date with fucking Pete and his ex. Yeah, and that was the one that wound up with that debacle against the Steelers, right? And it was the year that the Red Rocket broke his arm or hand.
Yeah, I guess that was 2 years
ago. It was
ago
just
now.
like, was it Burfict just beating the shit out of people or something like that?
Do you remember that? So
I had to watch it on my phone during a goddamn Pete Davidson comedy show. And like I watched like 20 minutes of his stand-up. I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm not missing the playoffs. And I just shoved my headphones in and like watched it.
You remember that? Like they wouldn't have been in that game without Burfict, because I think he had like 2 sacks, 2 interceptions. He was incredible.
And then
like he would pick off a pass and then come back and give them like 2 bad like personal foul penalties and like hit guys like low and late for no reason. Like that guy
you just need to adjust his roid ratio just a little, just a fucking.
He's the most Bengals player possible. Like he's the encapsulation of their whole roster in one guy.
He's their avatar.
That guy was supposed to be a top 10 draft pick, went undrafted. Obviously could play, but is probably not a guy anyone wants on their roster.
What was his discipline issue that was just so?
He got kicked out of Arizona State for, was it weed? We should.
Was it something that simple? It wasn't like I fucking love. To me, the biggest discipline.
And then he
case,
like showed up fat to like all his workouts too.
It's great. Is it Lael Collins? He's got that fucking Superman name, like Jor-El Lael, that Krypton guy. Where there was
accused of.
There's a suspicion he murdered his fucking girlfriend, and the Cowboys are like, fuck it, let's roll the dice on that bitch.
With him, he had perfect. Expected to take over. Eventually, he. You know what? No, I take that back. I'm sorry. He was not kicked out of school. I remember he like played. He was a big time recruit. He played really well. I think his freshman, like sophomore years, was terrible his junior year. Came out and then showed up fat to all his workouts and like couldn't run the 40.
There's nothing funnier to me. It's just fucking bad.
And it went from like a top 10 draft pick. I remember the Redskins were terrible. That was like 2011. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's gonna be one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just like. Was like what Andre Smith was the other guy that had the like
that I don't remember
had the tip. You don't remember Andre Smith was the offensive lineman who ran the 40 and his like boobs were just bouncing everywhere.
Fuck, I remember I remember the fucking gif of that. Yeah.
That guy like I think he ended up going well, but this guy had like one of the worst workouts ever. In Cincinnati was, you know what? He seems like our kind of guy. Let's bring him in here.
Fat motherfucker. Yeah. Oh my God. That's hilarious.
But yeah, man, they extended him. I don't know. Sometimes I look around at like, I remember when the Redskins got, when Joe Gibbs left for the first time, or I'm sorry, for the second time. And it was just the lack of anyone who gave you like any inspiration as a coach. Like I remember when Jim Zorn had his opening press conference.
Yes.
I remember they hired him. They wanted him to be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and then he was just promoted for the fuck of it.
And then like a day later promoted him because I think like Jim Fossil or somebody else was supposed to be the coach and they were like, never mind. Like
it was horrible. It was fucking embarrassing.
And you knew off the first press conference, like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. Like I haven't even seen him coach a down of football.
Yeah,
I know he's not going to be any good. Like you can just tell.
He was like a wartime promotion where it's like literally the janitor in the hospital because all the doctors have died in bombing raids. It's like, well, you've watched something. Get in there, save this man.
You know what a football is. So here you go.
You've seen blood.
So
open heart.
A part of me understands sometimes why like teams are hesitant to let a guy go. Like if you're the Redskins, I think they made the right move by not letting Jay Gruden go. If you're the Ravens,
you're
the Ravens, you couldn't have let Harbaugh go, even though you haven't made the playoffs in a couple of years.
Hell no.
But man,
I think you let Gruden go, you're a laughing stock. Like the guy has done nothing horrible. Like compared to what we were as a team just a couple of years ago. Like
it's funny, man. I think it's funny how people forget sometimes, like how
they have no memory.
They have no memory. How bad the depths. Like how bad the bad was.
They're just children. They're like, we want to go back to RG3, but the good year.
Yeah.
You remember that? That's what we want.
I'm sick of being mediocre. You know what you were for 10, 12 years? You were way worse than mediocre.
You were in the bottom like 4 to 6.
You would have killed for mediocre. And now you're there and you're too good for it. You turn your nose up to mediocre.
Yeah. It's like, do you like laughing at the Browns? Because you can go back to being their peers real fast. Like fucking, if there's anything being where we are can afford, we at least get to chuckle at the pieces. We used to laugh at the Bills, but I mean that shit works. What's up? Oh, you're just showing me time. Yeah. Okay. So we gotta wrap this one up. I just wanted to do a little bit on the randomness of coach hiring and firing. Like Jim Caldwell, I've always disliked Jim Caldwell just because, like, to put it bluntly, he's got a dumb face.
I was gonna say he's always got that same like scowl expression on his face.
Like you look at him, like there's certain guys where you see their face and you're like.
Speaking of the Ravens Super Bowl, by the way, right?
He was there.
He came in mid-season after the Ravens.
God, it's fucking right.
He came in mid-season. The Ravens lost to the Redskins. They fired Cam Cameron. They
brought him as OC, right?
Promoted or put Caldwell as their OC. Won the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and that guy became the head coach of the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great offensive coordinator. It's just everybody's memory of him as a head coach was with Indianapolis, where he called the inexplicable timeout that ended up giving the other team. I can't remember who they're playing, but it just
what
the other
happened?
Team to kick a field goal.
I remember.
Was it the Patriots?
Yeah, Jim Caldwell.
It was a wild card round, I think.
Caldwell. Sorry, this is a horrible joke. I'm trying to shoehorn it. He called 2 timeouts, but it was the game after Sean Taylor had died. No, was that? Sorry.
I was at that game.
Oh, you were actually there for that live? Sorry, I was like, Howard's just staring at me like, was that a joke? I don't.
Oh, no.
That was, I remember that Sean Taylor game, like the first, they had 10 dudes lined up to start the game. Buffalo just ran on them for like 12 yards. Like, oh, they're down a man. That was always funny as shit to me. But real fast, it's just, Jim Caldwell, as much as he has that dumb face, and he has a dumb face, like inexcusable. Like if you have gone to war and this man is your commander, you're writing your every letter like, I'm somehow not dead yet, but one of these will be my last because I am being led by a man with a very dumb face. But he had the best win percentage for a Lions coach in the Super Bowl era. Conversely, John Gruden, who apparently is going to get to literally fuck the mouth of the corpse of God damn it, what's their dead owner's name? Al Davis and Mark Davis, his little wiener-haired son. He gets like an ownership stake, they're saying, and I believe $10 million a year.
Yeah, that's the report. I mean, I'm not 100% sure whether or not that's true, but that's what they're saying, man. That he's going to get ownership stake.
He had possibly a 580 win percentage as a head coach.
But he won a Super Bowl. That's all people care about.
He did win that one fucking ring with, let's be honest, Dungy's team.
But he beat his team.
Yeah, but his team was the other team.
He literally could not have had a more perfect storm to get him that one fucking ring. He came in, got to tinker with the offense of a defensive juggernaut.
Yeah, with like 6 Hall of Famers on the other side of the
ball. Then
Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, all those guys.
Like the pro version of an Alabama.
Simeon Rice.
He had a legit strategy to win at New England and got screwed by the tuck rule. That was his team. Yeah, Raiders should have won that game. He's a pretty good coach. Come on.
He's a good coach.
I think if you want to point to any real success, I would look at the Raiders years, because I remember just how goddamn miserable they were every year after. And I know they traded their guts and lungs to get him. Like one of those weird moves where they traded like firsts and seconds. AJ gave me the details on that.
2 firsts, 2 seconds, and like $8 million.
Which is obscene to give picks for an actual fucking coach. For a fucking coach.
They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you turn around, like I'll look up what those picks turned into for the Raiders.
Sapp gets to be an even bigger piece of human shit. So did they really win? Like, did humanity lost?
And we live in a society where, like, hey, you got that ring. That's all that matters, man.
Sapp is just who made that album? The Harder They Fall. Remember
Jimmy Cliff?
Yeah. I love that. I love that phrase. You know, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful image. And I now think of Warren Sapp whenever I think of that album, just because. You heard how he lost his recent job with the NFL Network, right?
Oh my god,
with the sex toys and shit, right?
He refused to pay prostitutes after he had sex with them.
That gig, yeah.
And then he got fired because all he had to do was pay prostitutes what he owed them, and instead they called the cops and said, "This dude didn't pay us money for our tricks,
for this illegal thing that we're doing."
I have to arrest all of you now. But they got Warren Sapp. He lost his job for being a complete moron. That it would have cost him $1,000. Instead, he's making what, $400,000 a year working for NFL Network. That money's gone. He's broke to begin with. He don't have any money from the days of Tampa Bay. So
I just want to say, you're big time when a hooker fucks you on credit. Like, I ain't been with anyone where you get to pay after. Like that shit is up front.
I mean,
then the kissy commences.
When a man shows you a Super Bowl ring, it's like, oh, he probably got money still. If he didn't, he would have sold that, right?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, let's wrap this one up real fast, and then we will start the Papa's Basement in a couple seconds as soon as I fill up my water bottle. That's not actually a metaphor for anything. I just need more water. All right, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, that's the wrong music that's going to start playing. Brian, we're going to let you go, sir, so we can play the outro music a little. Yeah.
Let's hear picks. Who's making the Super Bowl? Let's hear who's making the Super Bowl.
No, I don't want to say who's going to make it.
We already know.
Brian, you got a pick? Who you got playing in the Super Bowl this year?
I didn't go past the wild cards. Rams.
I would Sean McVay took that offense from 32-1. And you know who had the biggest offensive regression this year? His old team. Old team.
Wow.
Yes. Sean McVay fucking God damn, it drives me nuts. We don't have him. Yes.
He's young, handsome, and successful. Don't you love him?
No, I hate it. Like I legit I have a friend who lives out in LA and I don't even think she's that big into football. And she's like, yeah, I'd fuck the shit out of Sean McVay.
He
I'm like,
brought a
thanks.
girlfriend from here, by the way. He met a girl here, brought her to LA.
Oh, I like bringing sand to the beach. What a fucking dumb.
She's absolutely. She's like an Instagram
much
model.
Like your girlfriend,
show.
I'd fuck Sean McVay too. So
Sean, did you call him Sean Buffet? I heard that. I'll never let you live it down, sir. All right, Brian. Thank you, buddy. At Choke on Ritalin, if you want to get a hold of that handsome Dickens, and we will do the Skype hang up now. Let's see if I can play the outro music. Come on. Doesn't seem to be working. Oh, that's what happens when you pull the music down on a Windows music player. I'm sorry, the volume. That's how words work. All right, everyone. That was Papa's Football Podcast. I am John Papa Giorgio. We're joined by AJ Ataye. AJ, what's your Twitter handle so all three of my Psycho fans can follow you?
My name.
Just AJ Ataye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll tweet your handle too.
Appreciate it.
We got Pete in the background. He wasn't on the episode. Were those eye drops or eye makeup, Pete? Oh, it was nose stuff. Okay. And we have Howard Flood. Howard, you are Basement Howard, right?
At Basement Howard for purposes of the Papa Football Network.
And I am John Papa Giorgio at Papa's Basement. We'll wrap this one up and then go right to a Papa's Basement. All right, everyone. Stick around. YouTube link. We'll be tweeting and Facebooking and all that shit momentarily. All righty.